Hello and welcome to my new Guitar Nerdery video, Guitar Nerdery 139. Today I'd like to show you an interesting topic, playing wise. I'm gonna show and tell and also let you hear about the relationship between chords and scales. Why some chords and scales belong and fit together and some don't. I guess you've already found out that some chords and scales fit and belong together and some don't. But why is that? The basic answer is, and that you have to keep in mind, is that chords and scales are actually the same. For example, if you play the C major scale, all 7 notes together, then you get the chord C major 7, 9, 11, 13. Don't be afraid, you do not have to memorize this. But in general, and most of the times, chords are a part of a scale. We have terms like basic triads and basic tetrads. That means we play the first, the third and the fifth note of the scale, or additionally also the 7th note. And then we have added notes that we can simply add to them others. And as long as a chord is a part of a scale, then it belongs to that scale. The less notes that chord incorporates, the more scales it could be a part of. The less possible notes a chord has, the more scales are possible to play to it. And that's what I'm going to demonstrate to you now. I start playing to a root backing track, where it's only played a root, one note. And if you have nothing more than a root and no information more, then you can play every scale possible, because every scale has a root. And then I'm going to add step by step notes to that root. So a chord is building up. The next step would be a power chord, then a triad, then a tetrad. Every time I'm going to check which scales still are possible to play over that chord and which don't anymore. So let the fun begin. I'm gonna start playing to a root backing track. The root of the backing track is the note A, so everything today is in A. And I'm gonna start with the Ionian scale, so I'm gonna start with major scales. And then during the playing I'm gonna switch over to minor scales. And you will see it doesn't matter if I play major scales or minor scales or different minor scales and major scales. If you have only a root in the backing track, you can play everything. Mixolydian with a minor 7. Lydian with an augmented 4th. Aeolian minor scale. Dorian with a major 6. Phrygian with a minor second. Harmonic minor. Sorry. No, right. Melodic minor. Locrian, the seventh mode of the Ionian system. It has a diminished fifth, and this scale's really important for the next step I'm gonna play. So listen to the sound. Only having a root in the backing track, it fits. The diminished fifth here. Yes, it fits. So now, for the next step, I'm gonna add a perfect fifth to the root. That makes it a power chord. Root and fifth is a power chord. And the last scale I played, the Locrian mode, that's the most interesting scale now, because this isn't possible anymore. All other scales I've played still are possible because they all incorporate a root and a perfect fifth, but the Locrian mode doesn't. It incorporates a root and a diminished fifth. So the power chord with its perfect fifth is not a part of the Locrian mode, of the Locrian scale. And that you can hear. It's diminished fifth versus perfect fifth. That creates a great dissonance. You can actually want that. In music, nothing is forbidden. You can do everything you want. It's just to show and explain to you why it sounds strange and not fitting. I'm gonna start with the Locrian mode and the diminished fifth. Ooh, that bites. Power chord, you actually can see this on the guitar. Here's the perfect fifth, and the Locrian mode plays around that perfect fifth. It doesn't incorporate it. So we can say the power chord is not part of the Locrian mode, and that's the reason why it sounds really strange. But all them other scales still work. Let me rapidly go through all of them. Starting with the aeolian mode. Aeolian. Dorian. Phrygian. Harmonic minor. Melodic minor. Now the major scales. Ionian. Mixolydian. Lydian. Lydian has an augmented fourth that's the same, actually the same note as a diminished fifth, but Lydian also incorporates a perfect fifth, and that's why it still works. The augmented fourth is just an added note. When in the Locrian mode, the diminished fifth was a chord note. Now I'm gonna add a minor third to the backing track, and that makes it a minor triad, a basic minor triad. And that means all major scales do not fit anymore, because they all have something in common, and that's a major third. So this would be minor third versus major third, the two words of keys, major and minor. Minor triad just sorts the major scales out. I'm trying to play a major scale, the Ionian scale, over this minor triad. No. And mixolydian. Still, the major third is a problem, and also the Lydian mode. Just doesn't fit. But all the minor scales, except of the Locrian mode, that is already sorted out when playing the perfect fifth, but all the minor scales still work, because all the minor scales I've played have something in common. They all have a root, a perfect fifth, and a minor third. Aeolian. Dorian. Phrygian. Harmonic minor. Melodic minor. Fit. Now I'm gonna add a minor seventh to the minor triad, makes it a minor tetrad, a basic minor tetrad, an A minor seventh chord. And that means that we get a problem with the harmonic and melodic minor scales, because they both incorporate a major seventh, and that major seventh will get in conflict with the minor seventh of the chord. You will hear that. Harmonic minor. Same with melodic minor. Yeah, we can say them both are thrown out. But aeolian, dorian and phrygian still work. They both have all notes that the chord incorporates in common. So The A minor 7th chord is a part of the A aeolian, A dorian and A phrygian scale. Aeolian. Dorian. Phrygian. Now I'm going to add an added note to the chord, a major second. Within the chord, it appears as a ninth. It's an A minor 7 ninth now. And this chord is not a part of the Phrygian scale, because the Phrygian scale has a minor ninth. So the minor ninth of the Phrygian scale gets in conflict with the major second, with the major ninth of the chord. And it's kicked out by this fact. But Aeolian mode and Dorian are still possible because they share all these 5 notes that are within the chord. Phrygian. You hear it. It doesn't work. Phrygian doesn't work. But let me show you that Aeolian and Dorian still work. Aeolian, Dorian. Now I'm gonna change something. I get rid of the minor 7th and also get rid of the last added note, the major second, and add a major 6. And that means that now Aeolian mode and Phrygian mode aren't possible anymore, because they both have a minor 6, and then both 6s, the minor 6 of them both scales and the major 6 of the chord, will get in conflict. But the melodic minor scale that is formerly thrown out gets back in, because I got now rid of the 7th. That was the conflict between the melodic minor scale and the chord. So it's not a conflict anymore. And the added major 6 is also a part of the melodic minor scale. So an A minor 6 chord could be a part of the A melodic minor scale. The A harmonic minor scale still is thrown out because it has a minor 6. Aeolian and Phrygian. Phrygian. Doesn't work. Dorian. That's it. Melodic minor. Here's the major 7th, but it's not a problem anymore without a 7 in the chord. Major 6. Now a big change in the chord. I'm gonna get back to the power chord and add a major 3rd. That means that all minor scales are not possible anymore, because all minor scales have something in common. That's the minor 3rd. And that minor 3rd will be in conflict with the major 3rd of the chord. But Ionian, Lydian and mixolydian, they all work because a simple major triad is a part of all them scales. Let me show you. Ionian. Lydian. Now I'm gonna add a major seventh to the A major triad, makes it an A major seventh tetrad, basic tetrad, and that will be a problem for the mixolydian scale, because an A major seventh tetrad isn't a part of the mixolydian scale. The mixolydian scale needs a minor seventh, so then both sevenths will get in conflict. I will let you hear that, but the Ionian scale and the Lydian scale still share all notes that are in that chord. Mixolydian. Minor seventh. No. Ionian still works. Also the Lydian mode. Now I'm gonna get rid of the major seventh and put a minor seventh instead into that chord. Makes it an A seventh, an A dominant seventh chord. And that in consequence means that the Ionian and the Lydian scale both do not work anymore, because they both incorporate a major seventh, and then both different sevenths will clash. But the mixolydian mode, that will work marvelously, because an A seventh chord is a part of the mixolydian scale. Let me show you, starting with Ionian. Major seventh. Oh. No. And Lydian has the same problem. Doesn't work. But mixolydian. Hear this. Now as the final step, I'm gonna make changes to that chord that makes only the Lydian scale possible. I'm gonna get rid of the minor seventh and add again a major seventh that throws the mixolydian scale out anyway. And then I'm gonna add an additional note, an augmented fourth. And the augmented fourth is the essential note of the Lydian scale. And this note will clash with the perfect fourth of the Ionian and mixolydian scale. So the mixolydian scale will be thrown out in two ways. Let me show you, starting with Ionian. Major seventh. Now it works again because it's also in the chord. But the perfect fourth, that's the problem. Also the mixolydian mode. Here the seventh doesn't work, and it is also a perfect fourth that also doesn't work. Mixolydian is a no-go, but listen to the Lydian mode. I think you get the point. I could do 10 hours of examples, but it's just the same principle. The principle of exclusion. The less information you have in the chord, and the minimum would be a root, the more you can play over it. The more information you add to the chord, to the backing track, to the harmony, the less is possible, because the more information you add to the harmony, the more you specify that chord, the harmony, being a part of a scale. You reduce the possibilities. Sometimes I find it difficult to use the word possibilities in that context, because you can do what you want as a musician in music and in art. There should be no restrictions, and there aren't. You should see this just in context. It's a general rule of music theory, a general guideline for you to understand why things sound like they sound. And with that, you can deal. This was it for today. I hope you found this video informative or even entertaining. If so, please don't forget to like and subscribe. Every subscription, every view, every comment helps this channel a great deal. I'm looking very forward to see you next time.